A team of experts are also on the ground assessing the impact of last night's floods in the Ashanti region capital, Kumasi. Motorists and commuters were left stranded for several hours following overnight heavy rains that caused flooding in several parts of the region. The resultant floods did not only cause heavy vehicular traffic, but also caused destroyed portions of roads, scattering communities from each other. Ohim Interior has more on this.
Over 3 hours of continuous downpour caused River Susan, Owabe, Subin and other tributaries to overflow their banks. Asokwe Mampong Sepetimpom, Kumasi Barkese Ofinsu roads, among places were blocked for several hours as they were taken over by flood waters. Motorists and commuters were trapped for several hours amidst heavy vehicular traffic. Vehicles, including this Toyota Camry and tricycles, were swept away by the flood waters, trapping occupants on board.
The vehicle was just something tiny for the force of the water. In the
Asokwe Mampong municipality, a brave young man rescued 5 people trapped in a Toyota Camry vehicle, swept away by flood waters at Asabi Junction.
The occupants could not even remove the ignition key. It is left in the vehicle.
My brother, would you even bother to think of your key once you have been carried away from the main road to this part? I believe by that point, all that they were thinking about is them dying. But with God's help, the guy was able to come in to open and got those guys out.
The exact spot recorded 6 flood-related deaths about 2 years ago. Assemblyman for Sepetimpom, Kwame Nkrumah Atta, is full of praise to Mr. Abedi for that life-saving intervention.
About 3 years ago, there were containers all over, and we experienced such floods, and 6 people died around this area. Those who were commuting from the Central Market to their various houses were also locked up here. So those guys who were here managed to tie a rope around Mohammed Abidi, and it was sheer bravery that made the guy came over here to rescue those guys that were trapped in the vehicle. I don't know what came over the guy, but he had just saved us from another calamity. It was later on that the fire service came, but by the time they came, the rescue activity had been completed. We've always recommended that during the dry season, the river should be dredged. Some time past, there was this dredging activity that were being carried out on the river, and we didn't experience this kind of flooding. So once I believe that we must continue with the dredging, so that when it's rainy season, there will be enough space for the waters to flow through.
Some residents stayed awake overnight to clear their rooms filled with water.
It is already 2 a.m. on Wednesday. Sawaba New Site is one of the communities inundated by flood waters. In this house, I have seen some of the residents trying to clean their rooms, which have been taken over by flood waters. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, boss.
What is happening here?
When I get home, my room was flooded, so I'm trying my possible best to see if I can clean it up and then get somewhere to sleep right.
But is it possible?
I can't tell for now, but I'm trying my best.
But our man Ohim Interior himself has joined us with more on this one. Ohim, what's being done about the situation? Hello, Ohim.
Thank you, Aisha. For now, National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, has been on the ground assessing the situation in order to extend a lending hand to victims of last night's flooding. I must say it's been a very difficult time for NADMO officials who are moving from community to community, especially at the district and municipal level, to collate information for onward, submission to the regional office in order to also reach out to victims of last night flooding. In the Asokwe Mampong municipality, for instance, as at midday, the NADMO officials have already counted over 100 affected homes. And they say many people are also involved. What it means is that NADMO will have to be finished with the collation of all the affected people before they are able to extend. Many homes are affected and many homes have been inundated by flood waters. What they will need now is to probably supply the people with clothing and bedding so that they are able to ameliorate the challenges that they are going through now. In the Ngwabieja North District, for instance, NADMO officials have also been working with the Department of Federal Road to assess some of the roads in that area that have been eaten away by flood waters. In some instances, some communities have been cut off. Motorists are finding it difficult to connect easily to the other communities. For instance, between Atafua and then to Kronom Abuhia, Boho areas, the road linking those communities have been eaten away, and it will take some more time to reconstruct the road to make it accessible to residents who over years have been using this alternative route. The unfortunate thing is that this morning, students woke up to the scene of their usually, route being taken away by flood waters. What it meant for them was to use other alternative routes, which also makes, walking and also very difficult to assess in that regard.
And that the regional minister, the MCE, Mr. Sampine, will be touring the area. Has he done that already?
Not yet. Yesterday's flooding has hit mostly Greater Kumasi areas. In terms of the Greater Kumasi area, we have the Kumasi metropolitan area, we have Sopa Municipal, Oforukum, and then we also have Achuma Municipal, Achuma Ngwabieja North, Fijapa South, and then some parts of Fijapa North, and then we also have Fabre, Asopremampon, and all these areas, and extends to Achuma, Ekwanguma, and other places. So if the mayor of Kumasi, for instance, wants to tell some of the affected areas, then it means just a fraction of the affected areas are being looked at. The devastation and the effects of yesterday's downpour with this, ensuing flooding, it goes beyond Kumasi metropolis. And many of the affected communities are not only in Kumasi, it goes beyond Kumasi. So we also expect the other municipal and district chief executives to do the same. But now they've given that opportunity to NADMO to assess and collate information on how much the flood actually the devastation it has caused among populace in these areas. So yes, NADMO says they are working at the district and the municipal level. And once they are done, they will forward this information to the regional level for the regional office to also take action. And I must admit that those who, were affected by the flood have already started counting their loss in most of the areas that I visited this afternoon. You will see residents either drying their beddings or their, personal clothing and all that in order to be able to live up after the floods yesterday.
Ohiminteria is our man monitoring this for us.